Good morning, teacher and classmates. Today we're going to talk about the situation of COVID-19 in intermediate 9. Next, please. First we're going to talk about life before and after COVID-19. We could start talking about that life has changed a lot for everybody since the pandemic has started. For example, people used to go to parties and having fun with friends, drinking, dancing, and eating together until the night is gone. But now, things are really different. People is afraid about getting infected of COVID-19, so they don't go out to parties or drink from the same glass of their friends anymore. Moreover, jobs have changed as well. Next PPT, please. Okay. For example, in the past, people used to go to an office or they work in place to make their activities, and they usually spend time with their coworkers. After COVID-19, it completely changed because most of the workers didn't need to go anywhere. They use work from their homes, and this is called remote jobs. Do you remember when you go to school and spend time with your friends and play together? Well, it also has changed because remote classes were the only way to receive education when COVID-19 arrived. Finally, we used to walk by the street and see different faces and smile from people. You could identify easily a friend or an acquaintance if you see them far away. However, since we aren't allowed to go out without a mask, it became harder to recognize someone because you can distinguish their faces.
Well, in my case, I want to talk about advantages and disadvantages about life after COVID-19. For example, for me, one of the most important advantages is the improvement of video calls like Zoom or Google Meet. These platforms allow us to take classes remotely, hold conferences, work meetings, and have medical appointments if we want. Another advantages with online education or online work is that you don't waste time taking the bus to go to the school or your company, and you can use that time to do another things. For example, read a book or do your favorite hobby. But there are some disadvantages about the online education or work. For example, there are many children who live in rural areas or who don't have enough money to have a good internet connection. And for that reason, they can't have online classes properly, harming their education. Sometimes you can have problems with the internet connection, and that can make it difficult to have some work meetings, making you look unprofessional, and that can make you lose a business maybe. Another disadvantage is with medical appointments. Since it is a virtual meeting, the doctor can do a good physical exam, and so sometimes the doctor can give you a wrong diagnosis.
Causes and consequences. When someone infected with COVID-19, excels or cough, they expel droplets that contain the virus. This can enter the mouth or nose of a healthy person. This causes serious health impacts traveled by symptoms such as a fever, cough, pain, headache, loss of sense, smell, and difficulty breathing. Next, please. One of the consequences of the COVID-19 was a collapse of hospitals. Many people became ill and died a few days after being admitted to hospitals. As a social consequences, today we must wear masks all day, and even more so when we are surrounded by people. using antibacterial gel, and washing our hands all this time. It's a good way to take care of each other. In 2020, the restrictions were more severe. For example, people couldn't not meet in clubs or go for a walk or even visit their families. Nowadays, we can visit our families, travel, and go out on the streets as before. I think that is a stage of the pandemic has been very frightening for many people. We have also learned to have with each other. I really wouldn't to like to go through another pandemic like COVID-19.
I talk about of the future of the face-to-face classes. Although the face-to-face classes have already started in many places in Peru. In my case, I still don't have face-to-face classes. I imagine that in the face-to-face classes, we will still have max for precaution and with a distance meter, with fear of catching a virus, things like that. Next, please. I feel that the students won't get used to face-to-face classes. So they are already used to being in the comfort of their home, not watching themselves, not talking and others. Next, please. And it will be to adapt. It would be difficult to adapt again, to go out, to meet people. And I also think it will be very difficult for teachers to see that their students have not learned enough or what is required. Next. Aritna, I have never attended face-to-face classes. Perhaps many of my classmates haven't either, but I imagine myself in the classroom with a half screen where the teacher shows us his PPTs and there he's explaining the classes to us. I imagine some of my classmates writing with their iPad instead of a notebook like I saw at TikTok and things like that. And that all. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.